Hey, everybody. Welcome back. My book has been out there for like 3.5 weeks, like published, but only a week ago today was the launch party. And so I'm still in the habit of refreshing over and over again my book page. And currently it has 229 written reviews and 229 global ratings, which means every single person who came to the page left a review. Unbelievable. I am so blown away. And I have a big goal of getting 1,000 reviews by the end of the year. So stay tuned to see how well I do with that. And if you want to help out, you know where to find the book. Let me get into this week's show. Marketing your book doesn't have to feel like a second full-time job or a mysterious game. Only the loudest voices win. Some of the most successful authors aren't chasing trends or algorithms. They're building momentum by staying true to their roots and the original purpose behind the book. The truth is, marketing isn't about selling, it's about inviting readers into a conversation and into the value your book unlocks. Whether you're marketing your first book or refreshing the launch of a well-loved one, it's not about reaching everyone, it's about reaching the right people. That's the approach I take as a book launch strategist. I help authors create marketing plans that feel authentic and effective, leveraging systems like launch teams, content strategy, and virtual events to build lasting connections and measurable results. If you'd like support mapping out your launch or relaunch, grab a complimentary 30-minute session at booklaunchbrainstorm.com. Now, let's dive into our author panel. With me today, I have Diana Morgan, who wrote Whole Heart Social Media Success Formula: What to Say, Where to Play, How to Win, which equips heart-centered entrepreneurs with evergreen strategies to authentically grow their online presence, visibility, and influence while inspiring them to embrace their unique voice and purpose. We also have with us today Karen Kaufman, who wrote Magic: Making a Good Impression Count on and off the golf course, to help elevate your leadership, presence, and personal power through the unexpected wisdom of golf. In this inspiring guide packed with stories, strategies, and soulful lessons for living your most authentic and rewarding life, please join me in welcoming Diana and Karen. Diana, I'm going to come over to you first. Welcome to the show, and give us a little sense of who is your intended audience for this book.
Okay, thanks for having me, Robbie. This book is for entrepreneurs who are really wanting to make a bigger impact, to get their message out, and they struggle with being successful with social media. They're intimidated by it. They get confused, overwhelmed, out of their body, and it really helps them with concrete, simple, basic strategies. And when you say evergreen, what I want to say is these strategies are going to bypass the algorithms, and these strategies work no matter what's happening with the algorithms and all the games that people play on social media. And it also incorporates my own personal story. So I think that a lot of readers will really identify with the struggle that I went through with really embracing social media and understanding the power of it.
I love it. I love that you're drawing from personal experience. I love that you're giving people strategies that aren't gimmicks and aren't just reacting to current trends, but giving them a real sense of how to make sure their voice is heard. Let me come over to Karen, who's also about helping people find their voice and get their message out there. Karen, tell us a little bit about who you have in mind for your book.
Well, it's certainly, and thank you, Robbie and Diana. I'm thrilled to be on with both of you, because we are contributing to people and elevating their success. And that's really what it's all about. So it is for professionals that are looking to elevate their brand and their presence. And it's also for individuals that understand the importance of first impressions and the connection with first impressions and relationships. And it's especially for women that are working in a male-dominated environment and also want to create an equal playing field. And one of those areas is golf. And I didn't pick up a club till age 40, and I'll tell you why a little later. So it's certainly for women that are looking to get into the game of golf, certainly to be able to speak golf. And lastly, it's for any readers that are seeking specific strategies to for their leadership, for their reputation, and for their life. The book is filled with magical nuggets based on my experience and our research.
I love it. You both are doing a great job incorporating stories into these books, which is
Yeah.
really important. We can't just be content rich with step by steps, but we have to make sure we give people relevant stories. So, Karen, is this your first book?
This is my first solo book. I'm contributing author for 7 other books.
What was the contributing factor for this book to be written, and how did you overcome whatever voices were in your head? Because being a contributing author is a different thing from you being the author.
Yeah.
Why this book? Why now? Why did this like happen? And like, did you have any reservations that you had to overcome?
All of those things. So I had always wanted to write a book. I started many books, but I kept it evolving as a professional, as an executive coach, as a consultant. And someone said, Karen, if you had another career, what would it be? And I said, something golf related. And then when I was finally ready to write a book, I listed out all the things that I could write about. And a number of years ago, I did a presentation for high school students in Harlem, and it was called Magic, Making a Good Impression Count. So when I was listing these titles, I wrote Magic, Making a Good Impression Count, and then I added on and off the golf course. So I use golf and the 18 holes of golf, and really the 19th hole as well, as a metaphor for personal power and leadership. So once I had my, go ahead.
Were you already in a world of other authors and speakers at that time? Like a
I
lot
have
of
a
us,
lot of friends
yeah.
that are authors, and I was attending an authors panel, and each author
Oh.
was getting up and standing up. And that night, I stood up and said, a year from now, I will have a book.
Yes.
And
Oh,
I
I love
achieved
that.
it. And then I was on the authors panel. So I'm thrilled to be with this group because we all want to make a contribution in some way. We know we have a contribution to make. And it's wonderful to be with other authors. So I feel enriched by certainly the authors you've introduced me to.
Part of my story is that in 2016, I went to the National Speakers Association annual conference, and a national board member that I barely talked to was asking me about what I spoke on, and was talking about networking. And he said, "Do you have a book?" And I went, and he guided me away from our table over to Kathy Fayak, who is a person who helps people write and publish books. And he introduced me and said, "Kathy, he needs you." And Kathy handed me a button that said, "Ask me about my book." And it was a pretty big, like a 3-inch wide button. She said, "Wear this book. By the end of this conference, you will know what book you're writing." And I wore this book. I wore this Ask Me About My Button book for 3 days, and everyone asked me. And I no longer went humana. I had a book, and a year later, I walked into that conference with a book. So there is something really powerful about making a claim. Diana, what was your experience making a decision to write a book? And is this your first book?
This is actually my first solo book. I'm in 2 other anthologies. And my decision, I've had a blog since I started doing internet marketing, like, I don't know, 15, 18 years ago. And, I've always wanted to share information with people. And what happened for me with this book, and I'm sure this happens to other people too, is that I actually have another book that I'm writing now, which is a much bigger project, and it's more of my personal story. And this book just kept coming forward. It's like, no, I'm first. And so I finally stepped back and said, okay, this is the book that I need to write now. And this is the book that people need. And for me, this is the thing that I have been talking about forever, the Whole Heart Social Media Success Formula. So it was like, okay, I need to just put this in a book, put my trademark on it, brand myself and get this book out there. And a lot of the content in this book actually came from my blogs, taking my blogs and sort of like reworking them into this book. And, I feel like it was the right time. I feel like it was the right time, in my business. It was the right time where the fundamental problem, that the challenge that I feel like most people have with social media, is they really don't get it. And this book is about really how to understand social media, because when you really finally understand it, you understand the power of it, and you become more willing to learn it and embrace it.
So when did the book come out, Diana?
The book came out in June of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And
what was the early reception like?
Oh, it was huge reception. People were so excited. I have to say, I have not been that great about getting reviews. And this whole process that you provide, Robbie, is getting me more motivated to get out there and get reviews. But I'm still, I get my Amazon checks, and I'm getting so much from this book. It gave me, I'm probably skyrocketing into another question, but this book gave me so much influence, and it has drawn so much attention to me in terms of speaking opportunities, clients, referrals. It has just really shifted my whole being on the playing field in my field.
You were we're just over a year from when your book was published, and so it's great to have that space and time to see the reaction and early on, and also the long-term results for you, because it is tied to a business. Like you actually can help people do this work, and you could be speaking on these topics. When you were writing the book, Diana, was that like front and center? I know you said that you had this other book that you were also trying to work on, and this one kept calling you. Was it because this is what you knew your clients and your prospects needed?
Absolutely. It was absolutely that. And it was, I felt like it would really, the personal stories in it were also really important for me, because a lot of times people can look at a social media expert and oh, well, it's easy for you, you know how to do this. And I really wanted people to understand the struggle that I went through personally. I have like, you can read the book, but there's like Really God, Facebook. I went through 3 rounds of that, because I just was like, I initially got on social media to stalk my kids. So it wasn't really my thing, and there's a huge aspect of me that social media is really not my thing as a very spiritual person, and as a coach, and all of those things. And as a visionary, I see the enormous impact that it can make in the world. So this book, I feel like it feels like this is the book that people need to read in order to understand and embrace all the other things out there about social media.
Well, Diana, I appreciate the nod about how being part of the Kindle flash sale has got you focused on getting reviews, because that's the thing I obviously put front and center, because they're social proof on the book sales page, and they're help with the algorithm for ending up on the search results page. And people also, 90% or more of us, check reviews before making a purchase. So all these things factor in. But having a book that's relevant, I always tell people, you got to be a stellar human being. You have to write a highly relevant book, a quality written, highly relevant book for a particular audience. And the reviews sort of come from all of that. Like you have to start with, it sounds like you've got all the right ingredients. It's just a matter of like actually, doing a lot of follow-up and asking, and these Kindle flash sales can help you with that. Karen, I'm going to come over to you. This is also, I'm kind of curious about the early reception to your book, and what goals did you initially have? Like, Karen, like having a book of your own, were there any particular metrics that you were going to keep track of, that you were like, if the book does this, it's a success? And has that changed from the moment you started thinking about writing a book to as you now have a book?
It's a very interesting question. Initially, I wanted a quality book that would have an impact, and for me to accomplish what I set out to accomplish. And someone had asked me, if you didn't make any sales, would it still be a success for you? And I said yes, because I wrote it for me, number one, and then for people that I wanted to contribute to. I did have some focus metrics, and the focus metrics were invitations to speaking engagements, because to extend my reach, also LinkedIn engagement and greater visibility, and opportunities for new client acquisition to share my thought leadership.
And how did that roll out? First of all, when did the book come out?
The book came out late October.
So we're about
7 months.
7 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're just, 7, 8 months from when it came out. So yeah, how was the
well, I'm selling a lot more books apparently than other publishers, because I keep ordering them from author copies, because I'm getting orders for 50, 75, 100 for my speaking engagements. So they are buying the books in bulk, and everyone gets a copy, and then I'm autographing them, and I'm out in beautiful places. I'm on golf courses doing these events rather than in corporate training rooms. So
I love this for you.
And the first, my first check was thrilling, absolutely thrilling. And I've been doing events every day. I did one last night, this today. I have, I think, four next week. So I'm having a ball. I've been in business over 4 decades, and I want to keep myself engaged. And this project has been so much fun because I'm meeting all these new people, building relationships. People are thanking me for giving them the encouragement, especially the women, to get out on the golf course, even though they're not perfect. And even though they think maybe they're going to be embarrassed, so it's getting beyond all those considerations. So I'm contributing to people personally, professionally, and to get more women in the important game of golf for the opportunities that it offers.
Years ago, everything happened in the smoke break, and if you didn't smoke, you were really left out of the loop. And obviously that's changed a lot because now very few people are smoking in workplaces comparatively. But golf is another example of a place where, casual conversation leads to decisions that are being made. You're not there. You're not there. Like, you're not being considered. And you may or may not have someone who's going to really put your name forward in those moments, because if not, you really are missing out. So I love that you're creating pathways for women to be emboldened to be part of those conversations and those experiences. I love also that you're getting to be in these beautiful spaces and not these dreary corporate training rooms. It's a lovely outcome of the book being about golf. You mentioned, Karen, you're selling 50, 75 copies at a time. And I love this. And I'd like you to talk a little bit about how you're incorporating this into a conversation with your speaking, because I think the focus on individual book sales should only be during a launch sequence when you're really trying to get reviews. But other than that, the way we really make any money from the book is what you're doing, selling, lots of copies all at once to a person. So is it come up from the very start of the conversation? Is it sometimes in lieu of other payment? Is it from separate budgets? Like, how do you think about incorporating it?
I mean, I've been a fairly high paid speaker for decades. Now, with books, it seems to be different so far. But I say that if I'm going to speak, that everyone gets a copy of the book. Now, last night, someone went on Amazon to order 50 copies. And she was only able to order 30, and then it said out of stock. So she came to me and said, I could only order 30 copies. And I happen to have a stock here. And I said, I can bring the other 20 next week. But through my publisher, I can order them at the beginning of the week, and sometimes they can even have them delivered at the end of the week. So I wonder what's going to happen when Amazon said out of stock. So it's kind of fun to see what's what's happening, but I want to get this book into as many people's hands as possible, because there are 3 magical nuggets at the end of each of the 19 chapters, which I call holes. So 3 times 19 is what, 57? So there are 57 magical nuggets throughout the book, 3 at the end of each chapter, which would take someone 5 minutes. And the magical nuggets will help you have a better day if you embody them.
I love this. So, are there, Dinah, for your book, since it's tied to a business, are there bonus content, download links, QR codes, like opt-ins? You know what I mean? Like, if someone's reading your book, Dinah, and they're like, "Ooh, this speaks to me. This is like the kind of marketing that feels right to me, feels good, feels authentic." How do they find you? And like, what's the pathway? What's the next thing that they could do with you, paid or unpaid?
Okay. So I love listening to you, Karen, by the way. I'm very excited for you. And I love all the different ways that we market our books. So I am more of an online focus. And so at the end of each chapter, I have these tips and strategies for sort of a summary of really, here's 3 things you can do to really launch accelerate your online presence. So in the back of my book, I have my link and all of my contact, social media, everything. But I also created a mini course. It's called 7 Hacks to Grow Your Online Presence and Get More Visibility. And it basically elaborates on each of those 3 tips that are in the back of the book. And it's $7. It's just like a mini course. It's like it's just a really great like extra thing. It has a video and a workbook with it. And then from there, they're on my website where I have online programs. I have one-on-one. I work with people. I consult. I have group coaching. I have basically I say any way you want to get it is how I teach it. And so my goal, to be honest, my goal was to sell books, but my goal is about building influence and about bringing people to my website to take those next steps.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Obviously, going into this, because you have the marketing background, you already had a thought about the book needing to be marketed, which unfortunately a lot of authors don't have any ideas about the next step. And Karen, you were like, just if I produce a book, I'll be happy. But then, of course, you're like, well, no, I really do want people to read. Like, you reach a point where you're like, no, this is a good book. I want people to see this book and read this book and interact with the book. And I'm glad you're getting those results. But a lot of authors don't have that forethought. And I love when there are books like yours that get people thinking, Diana, about how else they can talk about their book. And I think examples from this show that Karen, you've been sharing, gives people some ideas as well. I'm actually kind of curious, Diana, like, of all the things you've done to get copies of your book into people's hands, whether it's for money or it was free, giveaway or whatever it was, what has helped you move the most books into people's hands? Like, is it like, you've been part of the Kindle Flash sale, you've done other collaborations, you've filled bulk orders of books. Like, what has worked to get your message far and wide?
Really, I'm super active on social media. And
Yeah.
I share, like every week, I share posts about my book and my book launch and my book. And I still am calling it my new book and getting it out there. And, I think one of the things, I know I should get more motivated to do reviews, but one of the things that happens for me, because I have a very strong following of people who really react and respond and engage, no matter when I put a post on social media about my book, people will go like, "This is a great book, you should get it." And, so it's like, I'm getting it right there. I should take that next step and say, "Hey, can you write me a review?" So
Sure.
I'm getting motivated today to do that, but I am getting those.
Yeah. I love that when people will go out of their way to interact and share how well things have gone for them. So aside from getting reviews, Karen, which is its own challenge, and part of why I tell authors to use the 2 weeks before these Kindle Flash sales to try to get a few more every time. What was the other big challenge? I mean, was it really different to go from being a contributor in other people's books to being the sole author? And it sounds like you found a great publisher. So did that solve a lot of the questions you had, or were there other things you had to overcome?
I really didn't. Once I set my mind to it, I set up a structure. So
Mhm.
I wrote early in the morning on the weekends at a quiet space with two dogs at my feet. I was at my partner's home on the lake. So I had a very quiet environment. And I set up a schedule for myself. Um, I'm thinking about, Diana, what you were saying about your most effective marketing strategy. I believe that partnerships are the way of leadership.
Mm.
So I am collaborating with different women's networks. In many organizations, they have women collectives, women networks. So that's where I see myself partnering. I've
Brilliant.
worked with men and women, thousands of people over the years. Um, as an entrepreneur, I want to see more women in business. I want to see more women on the golf course. I'm definitely about um, equalizing men and women. We are together in the workplace, and more women are the head of the household and are going to be the head of the household. So women's financial success is very important to me, to be financially independent.
That's great.
So that's my strategy right now, and I'm building it.
Yeah.
It is a new book. I'm just taking the next step, the next step, the next step. What I'm finding is opportunities are showing up around me. I'm attracting opportunities, and they're all different. And
Thank you.
it's extending my reach.
Well, I want to actually ask about the fact that you're both joined the Kindle Flash Sale, and Diana, I'm going to come to you first on this. So I've now run this a few times, and I'm now committed to running it 3 times a year. And I basically get dozens of authors to lower their Kindle book price to 99 cents. And then over a 4-day period, we cross promote and cross market our books to our different networks and our audiences. And it's great. There's a lot of camaraderie amongst the authors, some sales happen, et cetera. But I will say that in this last round, when I was reaching out to authors I knew, I had a few who were like, 99 cents? My book is way more valuable than that. And we've had a lot of publishers who just don't get this marketing idea. So, Dinah, why is it a good idea to participate in something where you are dropping the price of your book to such a small amount of money and paying for the privilege to do it? What are you getting to be part of something like this if it's not just direct sales of your book and it's not large sums of money for the sales of your book? Like, how do you make a decision for a marketing idea like this?
Okay, great question. And I just want to come back to something that Karen said about collaborating, because that is just so powerful. And, it's like, oh yeah, collaborating. So one of the things I did, and this kind of ties into your question that you just asked, is one of the things I did, I help a lot of people with their book launches in terms of, I just support them. It's not paid, but I support people in their book launches. I share their books, I do the whole deal. And so I basically messaged a messenger about 100 people and asked them. I published my book myself, and I asked 100 people if they would share my book on my book launch day. And I got probably about 70 of them, and that's how I hit #1 international, the whole bit that day. And I think that's part of why every time they see my posts, they're so excited, because they were part of that, and they helped me and I helped them. And that being said, going into your question, the 99-cent thing, again, for me, my book is not about making money. From my book. My book is about using my book as a marketing tool to get my message out, make a bigger impact. And yes, of course, make money from the other things that I do. But so the 99-cent thing, I left my book at 99 cents for actually quite a while after I launched it, because I was still getting so many sales. And that's the bottom line, is I was getting my book, because here's the other thing. When people go to Kindle, I have a lot of clients who are like in the 55, 60 plus age range, and they don't want Kindle. They want the book. So even though there's a 99-cent deal, they still bought the book.
Right.
Or they bought both. So that's another thing. So the whole 99-cent thing and this whole promotion that you do, it's like you get to like kind of re-up your book launch again, and it makes your book, especially, I want to just encourage people, if you're writing a book, make it evergreen, because if your book is evergreen and it's not super time sensitive, you can re-up and re-up and re-up. It's like doing a little mini new book launch.
Yeah, it gives you a kind of an excuse to focus for a few weeks on the book that you poured so much into. Karen, how did you approach this? This is a new, you're a newer contributor to this. So like, what was your thought process to saying yes?
Well, initially it was 99 cents. My book is worth more than 99 cents. I didn't get the whole thing that you and Diana are talking about right now, but I'm into experimentation right now. I'm having fun with this. I'm curious about this. So this is a new opportunity to learn and grow as a professional, and also to stay current, because my clients for all these years have been 98% from referrals.
Yeah.
So this is a bit of a different approach. I don't have a low cost product right now. I have speaking, custom tailored programs, executive coaching, and I also have an individual service on Reinventing You, which is, again, a face-to-face personal service, because I enjoy being with people. But I also see, especially over the years, maybe there's another opportunity to offer something at a lower price point so people can benefit. And Robbie, I'm sure we're going to continue, and Diana, I'm happy to continue this conversation about what it is I could offer that would be an extension of the book to make my services more cost effective for more people and with less time intensive.
Right. That's always a trick. When you get successful, people want more of your time. And if you want to be sustainable at that success, it's about leveraging that time in a way that's effective. So it is a little bit tricky. Diana, earlier you did start to answer a question that I always like to ask towards the end, which is about what has transpired once you became an author. And I always frame it as, because I'm an author, ... Like what would you fill in the blank? What doors have opened? Because you said like you instantly got credibility, all kinds of opportunities started coming your way. And you had a business before the book. You had even contributed to other books, and then you had your own book. So like help me and those listening understand what might be around the corner if they also wrote a book.
Right. And I could say, in thinking and listening in this conversation, the biggest change. So, I mean, I've been doing this for 18, 20 years, and I do 50, 60 speaking gigs a year. And, I am out there. And most of those speaking opportunities in the past, I have contacted people and they're like, oh yeah, we'd love to have you speak. I send my speaker sheet, I do the whole deal. But what's happened in the past, I want to say 6 months or so, is the speaking gigs are coming to me. Like I have 4 speaking gigs this week. I have like at least 2 or 3 speaking gigs a week are coming to me. And I'm not doing anything. And they're not paid, they're marketing speeches, but then I offer my thing, and that's how I grow my business and my following. And that is really a shift that I realize. I keep adding more speaking gigs to my spreadsheet, and I'm like, part of me is like, I should start reaching out, but I'm like, I keep getting these calls. So, and I do feel like it has to do with the book. I really do. And to be honest, this whole promo, I think that brought me even some more attention and visibility too. Podcasts, speaking to groups, all kinds of different things that I hadn't even thought about reaching out to. Summits. Yeah.
I love this. So there's 2 speaking models that I'm aware of. One is paid to speak, and then the other one is speak to sell. And so, Diana, you're really speaking about the speak to sell model.
Correct.
And if you have a lower cost offer and a clear audience for that offer, then getting in front of those people virtually or in a room and sharing your knowledge in a presentation or even an interview or a panel could get some of those people to convert, to join your list or to buy your book and then get your content from the book. And then now they're part of your pipeline, right? Like it's just part of how you do this work. My model changed because with my first book, I was really about paid to speak. I didn't have any other offer. I was a speaker. And I actually, a lot of the groups I spoke at, Karen, were your people. Like I spoke at a lot of women's ERG leadership groups for different industries that were very male dominated, financial industry, that kind of thing. And I was speaking about networking, and the way I talked about it really resonated. I was also the only person in the room usually wearing a suit jacket, except maybe like the sponsor, the executive sponsor, maybe a guy in a suit. And I'd say, why is the temperature in this room set to my comfort level? And there's like women in sundresses, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, we can adjust that. Like, I'll be fine. And I think that was part of why they liked me, because I said things out loud. I also asked them early on, when did women win the right to vote? And usually there were some people in the audience who knew the answer. And I said, well, when will women win the right to pockets? And we would have a whole conversation about the lack of reusable pockets. So, but then, I became known as a Zoom guy, and like now I have not done an in-person presentation since the pandemic. And I joke that like I would want to get paid like way more money to leave my house and go do that.
Yeah.
The only reason I will go and do an in-person presentation is because there are conferences that I'm already a part of the community. I will present those spaces, but otherwise, like I found so much creativity here. And now I'm suddenly doing a lot more speak to sell. But interestingly, I'm now paid to speak virtually on my first topic. And I never would have thought to do that early on, to teach people how to network at conferences on a virtual platform. Like now I do it so often, it makes sense. So I love the creativity of this and thinking about it. How would you answer this question, Karen, about because I'm an author ... Like what comes to mind that became a reality for you once you had this book?
Gosh, I think it elevated my preeminence in my space, because so many people say, I've always wanted to write a book. So the fact that I've done it, I think it's added to my preeminence and my seriousness as a thought leader, and my commitment to stay relevant through the years, because people aren't retiring like they were. Creative people are rewiring. So I've prided myself that I've been able to match the market for all these decades as an entrepreneur. Most recently, I see an opportunity in the organizations for the young professionals that have grown up during the pandemic and only with technology, and they don't value the people skills that are necessary in our technologically advanced world that's only getting more technologically advanced. So I see that our services are more needed than ever before. And in fact, we're developing a brand new program for early professionals, and currently just launched a survey this morning to find out what people in organizations are seeing that their people are needing. And I'm partnering with what I call my bonus son. And we will be leading these programs along with other people that I will be collaborating with and bringing in.
It's great. I love the innovative spirit that you both are brought to this conversation. I'd actually love to close with, I'll come to Diana first. Advice that you would give someone who's writing a book to help them grow their business. So does anything in particular come to mind, Diana?
Yes. Start with the end in sight. Start where, two things actually. Start with the end in sight. Like, what do I want to have happen with this book? And what is the next step for them after they read this book? And what is my point? I always start whenever I speak, whenever I write, whatever I do, I start from that place. What is my point? And those are my two strategies.
Yeah, it would go such a long way for people. I think a lot of people write a book, not always the correct book. I don't know how often it happens, but people write the second book first and they only realize it too late. I have a client who wrote 20,000 words and then realized that wasn't the book she needed to be writing. She didn't publish it. She started
Right.
another
That's
book.
exactly what happened to me when
Yeah.
I was like, no, that book is not first. This is first. And
You got to
now
pay
it's
attention to
clear.
that. Yeah, but it's so hard because you know, we go down these paths and then you have to get good advice from good people. The strategy piece is so key. Karen, how about you? What advice would you give someone who's writing a book?
Well, it's great. Now that I've had this experience, I have 5 strategies. Number 1, be clear how your book aligns with your business strategy. Number 2, write with a purpose. It's a strategic business tool, not a vanity project. And build the pipeline first and then write your book to support that journey. And 4th, ensure the consistency of message across all brand platforms. And that's something obviously that Diana is an expert at, and that your book should reflect your authentic voice.
Oh my gosh, like that's a video clip. That's great. Like, love it. Succinct, to the point. I love this. I think that the lessons shared with our authors in these panels are so helpful because, you know, we've all kind of been there and stumbled our way sometimes in the dark looking for a light switch. And some of us have gotten a little help along the way. Now we want to help others who are on this journey behind us. Karen, how can people find you and follow your work?
Wonderful. So my website is the letter K, partners.com. That's the easiest. I'll give you my direct email as well, kk@kpartners.com. And you can find me on certainly LinkedIn, Amazon. I use Karen D. Kaufman because I found there were so many Karen Kaufmans. So I use my middle initial or my master's designation, MSOD, Master of Science in Organizational Dynamics. I study
Awesome.
people.
Yeah, I love this. We're going to, by the way, have all the links in the show notes at bizbookpubhub.com. I'm going to have your LinkedIn, your YouTube, your book link, and your website. Diana, how about you? How can people find you and follow your work?
They can find my website, which is Whole Heart Marketing, WHOLE Heart Marketing. And they can find me all over social media, Diana Concoff Morgan, CONCOFF. And yeah, come visit me. And I have a Facebook group. I'd love to, you know, if you had any questions from today, you can ask in there. And yeah, I'd love to connect.
Love it. This is great. Again, all the links are going to be in the show notes at bizbookpubhub.com, which is something you'll also find all the resources from all the episodes. Every Tuesday and Thursday, we put show notes out for every episode that is shared. We have one-on-one interviews with experts and authors and these author panels, all full of so much information. At that link, you'll also find an invitation to come to a free virtual networking event every month for writers, authors, or speakers. The Kindle flash sale, which you can join a wait list to find out when the next one's happening in late fall. And oh my gosh, there's also over 24 experts who is a curated directory of experts who will guide entrepreneurs through writing, editing, publishing, marketing, their business plan. So their business book. So whatever you're doing, we want to help you. Want to create an author community. All head over to bizbookpubhub.com. I want to thank our panel one more time for joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. A pleasure, Diana.
Yes,
So
nice
great that we
Karen.
get to share this experience with Robbie.
Yes.
Until
Yes,
next time. Thank you.